Replacing broken screens is extremely easy, and today I have an Acer Aspire Lite AL1541 to show you exactly how that process goes. We're also going to be upgrading the solid-state drive inside and making sure the system is fully functional. I've already taken out all of the screws, and I've actually diagnosed and gone through this entire laptop on a previous DonTech Live episode. You can find that in the description, links, and everywhere that toys are sold. So the laptop has already been opened. We just had the screws to remove, very easy. That's not necessary for a screen replacement, but in this situation, we're opening it up so we can add in this SSD to then install Windows, because otherwise this should be a fully functional, usable laptop. Opening the laptop, you can see there's no screen present. This one was actually quite annoying to take out because it has tape on each corner that you had to pry open with kind of a removal tool instead of having a pull tab that would allow you to pull the tape and get it to stretch and then remove. I don't like tape whatsoever, but I don't have any of that sort of tape, so we're just going to go ahead and use this little 3M tissue tape, I guess, double-coated tissue tape, and just cut it and put it in each section so it will hold the screen in place. When it comes to getting the screens themselves, they are extremely easily sourceable on eBay. On the back of every single screen, there is pretty much a part number somewhere on here. All you have to do is find the part number, which in this case would be this DRG1Y, so on and so forth, put it in eBay, find what the part is, and then get it from there. Simply open up the laptop and hope that it has battery. I didn't think about that. I need the power cord. So for starters, when it comes to replacing the screen, to make it super, super simple, what we're gonna do is just make sure that we get the actual display first. I think this bends all the way back. That'll make it easier for filming. Sweet. So this right here is the video cable, and this connects to the back of the LCD panel itself. There's usually 30 pin and 40 pin. This one is a 30 pin because it does not have native touchscreen usually, and you can tell because it's smaller. I can't really zoom in or bring it up any closer, so we'll try to zoom in post. How's that sound? Usually what you do is you do these steps in reverse, because you would have just taken this out so you would know exactly how the tape goes on. But the tape here for this actually goes over the LCD to hold it in place, so that way you know which direction this cable would go in. But a lot of times it only goes in one way anyway. So we're just going to go ahead and line up these golden connectors and just slide it in gently. Put too much pressure, you can snap it off, and you can damage the cable, so you don't want to do that. So we're in. I'm going to bring the adhesive down. This adhesive on the underside here, which is going to be very difficult to show, will actually go on the other side of the LCD. So then we just flip that on over. We're just going to do a quick power test to make sure that we get display. Because if we don't get display, then it means that this is a bad board, and this video will be nothing. Phew. Okay, what's it say? Default boot media missing or failed. Easy enough. That's fine because there's no SSD. That SSD is right here. So as we can see though, everything with this is now functional. The screen is working. And it's honestly that easy to replace the screen on most modern laptops that do not have it incorporated into the bezel. So now that we know that we have power and that the screen works, the next step is we're going to prep the adhesive part to hold the screen in place. Back in the day, we used to have screws. One screw on each side, so 4 screws total, and that would allow us to easily have the ability to remove, cool, that was fun, ability to remove the screens much more easily. So in this situation, we don't have that. We have to use adhesive tape. I would normally not use this sort of tape, but I don't have anything else on me right now, and I want to get this repair done. So we're going to do something that I would not recommend, but this is kind of how it was done previously anyway. There's tape that went up here, tape that went here, tape that went over here. We're going to put it a little bit lower on that one because there's still some of the adhesive part, like some of the padding. Hi, easy enough. Because normally you'd have a piece of tape that would come at one end, top of the bottom, and would go down the entire side. You pull that tape out, and then it would remove the adhesive, as long as the tape didn't break somewhere down here, which was very common. I do not like doing tape in anything whatsoever. Bring back 4 screws, it would make life way easier. So we have the adhesive available. We take the screen, and then we're going to line it up at the top of the bezel first to make sure it's fitting in correctly. And then we're going to go ahead and gently place it down, and it will then adhere to the top and the bottom. and it's going to be leveled and inside straight. If you don't do that straight and it's awkward, then you have to remove the tape and then do it again. And then we're going to just lift it and show, in whatever way we can, that the adhesive is now functional. And then we can remove this screen protective cover right here. You don't want to do this when the laptop is on because it can cause static and actually damage something. That is all set, and then it's ready to go. We do have the bezel, which I did not mention whatsoever about this laptop, that also had to be removed in order to access the panel itself. This was again done on that live stream. Make sure that the LCD cable is out of the way so that way when you put the bezel back on, it'll be okay. Most bezels can come off cleanly, but sometimes the bezels are made so poorly and so thinly that they will actually break when they're taken off. We're just going to slide this bezel down in on the bottom to kind of line it up, and then I'm going to start where the webcam is at and push all those clips in. Okay, gentle pressure. Close the laptop. Make sure the cable's out of the way. And you can see how that's closed. And the bezel is fully installed and the laptop is practically fully functional. That's how easy it is to replace the LCD inside of this Acer Aspire laptop. When you'd be done with that, you just put the cover back on the laptop, put the screws back in. They're all Phillips head screws, and then use the laptop and you're ready to go. If you've stayed until the very end, you can see that we're now going to go ahead and upgrade the SSD. The SSD on this one is an NVMe. It does also have a slot for a standard SATA-based 2.5-inch SSD, and it does have the cable connected, which is always nice. Sometimes you buy these, and that's just something you have to buy after the fact. This one has a single NVMe M.2 SSD slot that goes right here into the board. It slides it in an angle down onto this post, and then there's a screw that I already removed that goes back in its place. This should just be held in by a simple PH0 screw bit. And it's that simple. You have easy access to the RAM as well. This has two 8 gig modules, bringing the total to 16 gigs. That's fine enough for this laptop. And then to seal it back up, we just go ahead and put how's the camera shake on that, I wonder? Put the bottom back on the laptop itself, and then we have all the screws that were right here. As I mentioned previously, these are all just regular Phillips head screws, probably a PH0 or a PH1, and these just go in around the entire border of the laptop itself. And this was actually feeling a little bit too thin on the PH0. Like it just felt too much, I could turn it too easily, so we're just going to go for the PH1. It's a little bit thicker, and then you'll usually be able to get more tension and have a less likely chance of stripping the screw. But as I continue to do more of these sort of repair videos, they will be labeled as necessary, for the thedontech has too much crap to do, and I need to really clean out my studio and everything, and this is part of it. And then that's pretty much all set. It might try to boot to a Windows operating system. Where's the power button? I just pressed it. Here we go. Because this SSD might not be blank. Okay, it is booting to an operating system. That will probably not be something I have to blur out in post. It should be like a new OS probably. Yeah, getting devices ready. Who knows what's on this? But worst case scenario, if you put in a new SSD, you have to download the Windows 11 ISO. I have a 23H2 ISO that I like to use for my builds, and you just install Windows 11 on the system and it would be fully functional. The nice part about this laptop is that it does have a full keyboard with a full numpad. The only thing I don't like about it is that that AMD Ryzen processor. That's going to mean that we're going to get a little bit less performance, potentially higher heats, and not as long of a lifespan on the laptop itself. But otherwise, the full modularity inside of it is really, really nice because you can upgrade the RAM and the SSD as you saw. And the screen replacement, albeit a little annoying and unconventional with the tape on the top and bottom, it was not all that bad of a laptop to work on. So I hope this video was helpful to you. For more repairs, tips, guides, and general tech professionalism, go ahead and check out my channel anywhere that thedontech is found. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the Don's got your back.